We have three special guests with us today. So we have Cody Link. He is the manager of inside sales for the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans Pelicans. We also have Mary Beth Carmen. She is a group sales account executive with the New Orleans Pelicans and the New Orleans Saints. And we also have Larry Staub with the inside sales associate with the New Orleans Saints and the Pelicans. And they're going to go ahead and take it away for us.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having us. My name's Larry. I was in your shoes not too long ago, but it was 2017. We went to Dublin, did the Tough Mudder race there, graduated in 2020, and then I started in inside sales then. Currently, I'm on our service and retention team for the Saints and Pelicans, so this is my 5th season with the team. Originally, I'm from Rochester, New York, so close to Buffalo. Long way from home, but I mean, it's late January, I guess it's February now, and it's sunny and 75, so beats the snow. I love New Orleans, love it here. We've got a great organization, and looking forward to speaking with all you guys.
Cool. My name is Cody. I manage our inside sales team with the Saints and Pelicans. I'm originally from Wisconsin, and then I went to Northwestern University in Chicago. Played football there, got my undergrad and master's, and then graduated right at the start of COVID, so not the best time. So 2020, actually started with Larry in inside sales, and then for about 4 years, moved my way up on the rep side of things, and then about 5-6 months ago, moved over to the leadership side. So yeah, like Larry said, started about, we're going on our 5th season, so.
Hey, my name is Mary Beth. I'm originally from Lexington, Kentucky. I graduated from the University of South Carolina. I just graduated this May. I was a sport and entertainment management major. I originally came to the team for the inside sales program, and then Cody became my actual manager. So I went through that program, and then I recently got promoted full-time to our group sales team, so now I'm an account executive for them. I really focus on helping push hundreds of tickets for the team, so that's my new role now. But I really feel prepared from that for the program, and it was really just a great step up from that. But yeah, I did a lot of different experiences in college, kind of like you guys are doing now. So it helped me really prepare. So I'm glad that y'all are doing something like this, and I think that's awesome.
Kind of jumping into it, luckily I was able to manage Mary Beth for a couple months, and I think the two biggest things, I look for when hiring people or just seeing people that have had success in the program, I think the first one's coachability. Right, you have to be able to be coachable, take advice, tips, and implement it into your process. And then I think the second thing is internal motivation or passion, right? Like Mary Beth was, usually we start the day at 8:30, Mary Beth was there at 7:30 each day, right? And then we had, look at Noah, Matthew, they were there till 6:30 at night, right? And I think, I didn't tell her or I didn't tell them to do that, right? But they wanted it, right? They wanted to be on the top of the sales board. They wanted to get promoted, and that's, I can motivate as best as I can, but internally, Mary Beth stood out, right? And I think that's, whatever you guys do, I think that's, the two biggest things, that will help you set yourself apart.
Yeah, if I were to kind of add on that, I think, what you guys are doing now, doing different programs, networking, soak up as much information as you can. Going through school, I always knew I wanted to work in sports. Didn't really know exactly what that meant, whether it was marketing or event management. Never really thought sales was going to be for me. But when I was in Dublin, started talking to one of the sales managers there, and really just picked his brain about what is the day-to-day. And you think sales, I'm sure if you've ever watched a movie or Wolf of Wall Street or something like that, it's nothing like that, right? It's not, heart surgery or, we're not selling used cars. It's really, building relationships with sports fans. And for me, I had Bills season tickets with my dad in high school. And, that's something that, growing up, I remember to this day. And it's just something you can always look back on. But, connecting with people to have those different experiences, whether it be for your family, with your buddies, growing your business through treating clients, customers, really figuring out, what someone could use a ticket package with, and then fostering that relationship and, getting the sale. So when I'm in retention now, so I have a book of about 500 Saints Club accounts. and then on the Pelican side, 300 accounts. So it's about 800 people and accounts, about $5 million of business. And in retention, my main role is to renew that the next season. But what's cool about our organization at the Saints and Pelicans, we can do full menu, right? So what that means is whether it be retaining your book of business, growing it with new sales, new business, or then, as Mary Beth will probably speak more about, finding different groups and then bringing them out as well. So that's something I really enjoy, and I've been loving it so far.
Yeah, kind of like he mentioned, I work in group sales, so I really am just focusing on bringing as many groups as possible around the Gulf South, not just Louisiana. So I'm really focused on Mississippi, Alabama, and parts of Florida. So with our team, especially at this time in the year, we really have to get as many people as we can out to the arena. So I'm focusing on schools, I'm focusing on corporate, tourism. I have a lot of different areas of focus that I have about 18 different categories that I really have to zone in on and try to bring out. And I'm not only trying to bring out groups the one time, I have to try to continually grow that area. So, for example, I have a literacy night coming up, and I'm trying to get about 3,000 people out for that. We're looking at projection of 3,000 people, and then in the future, when I do it again, I need to try to grow it to probably like 5,000. So that's kind of my goal with group sales, and then just building that camaraderie with the people that I meet too. As mentioned, just relationships are everything in this business. And I mean, as you get to know people, they're going to want to support you and keep coming out. Kind of with that, my piece of advice, especially since I went through the program, I kind of know how it is coming straight out of school and just kind of figuring things out for yourself. I had an idea that I wanted to do sales for a little bit of time, but especially when you get out there and actually do it, you'll have moments of, is this really for me, or can I do this? I mean, Cody can attest to it, but when I first started out, I really just fell flat on my face. I was the second to last person to make a sale, and then I was the bottom of the board for over a month. So you'll definitely have times where you'll wonder, how do I get out of this, and am I going to be better at the end of the day? So, you really just got to find that motivation within yourself that, hey, this is what I'm worth, and this is what I can do, and I can prove myself. But sometimes you just got to really focus on how is that going to happen, and how much time is it going to take. It's not going to be instantaneous, and sometimes you just got to really be patient with yourself, and you just got to know what you're capable of. So if you stay confident and steadfast in those skills, then you will succeed, and then you'll come out better on the other side of it as well.
And inside sales wise, so just kind of overview of that whole program. It's a 10-month program. We're actually right now hiring for our June class. So they'll go through, April of 26. The job itself, and Mary Beth can speak more on it, but pretty much when you're in the office, it's a high outbound role, right? I think they probably would say 70 to 80 calls a day. Then we also utilize text messages as well as emails, and kind of to what Larry attested earlier, we're trying to get people out to games, right? Create experiences, if that's B2B with business and entertaining clients or customers, or if that's on the personal side, creating memories, right? Like Larry hit on with the Bills season tickets. Traditionally, I would say the top, 2 to 4 then usually get promoted to one of our full-time teams. In terms of full-time teams of our sales department, we have inside sales, right? So that's, the 10-month program, recent college graduates, and then full-time sales and retention, which is Larry's groups, which is Mary Beth. And then the other 2 teams is we have a new business AE team, strictly driving new business, less on terms of service and book size. And then we have a premium team. And what premium consists of would be like our suites or floor seats, a little bit more into the, selling businesses and long-term contract-wise.
Just out of curiosity, show of hands, do we have anyone that's interested in sales, kind of thinking about it maybe? Okay, a few. So, when I was in your shoes, like I mentioned, it's not something that I thought, I would love or maybe get into, but the more I really learned about it, it's a lot of transferable skills, right? Like for the summers, I would bartend at concerts and, just customer interaction. If you enjoy talking to people and, talking sports, you can do an inside sales job. It's personal. It's like you're literally just driving your personality, making people feel comfortable. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of outbound to start in inside sales, but once you really prove yourself, you can move on to either groups where you're getting a large school or a group out For me, I was always really interested in retention, right? Building the relationships and having a large book of business, and more so on this like selling through service, right? So whether it be identifying a business, booking a suite, getting maybe floor seats for someone's birthday, but I would just say keep an open mind. There's tons of different jobs in sports, and the right one for you, you might not even know about it yet.
Yeah, that's a really fair point. I know that a lot of, kids that I went to school with, I mean, I just graduated in May, we're in the same boat where you don't know where you're going to end up in the future or what the future is going to look like a few years down the road. And the good thing about sports is you don't have to have it all figured out right out the gate. It's really just a learning experience, and you'll really figure out what your strong suits are and really where you belong over time. So don't put too much pressure on yourselves to have it figured out immediately, especially once you graduate. I mean, it's a growing process, and then as you meet people, you'll really find where you're supposed to go and where you're destined to be. And I mean, kind of with sales, I always had a feeling that I wanted to do sales, and then you get in the actual program, and sometimes you'll quickly learn if this is for you or not. But the good thing with that is then you'll also identify other opportunities within the sports that you probably didn't know of otherwise. I mean, I know that there's people on my inside sales team who learn about different departments that they wouldn't have otherwise, and they're really forming those connections and growing that way. So, at the end of the day, even if it's something that's not for you, you can really grow through that and form bonds with people that you're going to know years down the line. It's a very small business, and everybody knows each other really well. So at the end of the day, you'll still make very valuable connections with it.
I thought of another advice. I think the biggest word for you guys, looking for jobs or internships, I think that word is persistence, right? Like I look at all of us up here, like we're all very busy, right? And other, speaking on the other managers or VPs, but the people that continually reach out to me, LinkedIn or email, I eventually get back to, right? There's hundreds of people that send me LinkedIn messages and emails wise, similar to sales, if you send one email, like probably going to get mixed in the wash, right? The people that, they'll tell you, right? If you're blowing them up too much, they'll say, hey, take a break, right? But I think persistence is huge for you guys in terms of trying to get, full-time job, internship, or even networking with somebody, and stay on those people, right? They'll tell you, right, if you're blowing them up too much.
Yeah, like I said originally, I mean, what you guys are doing now is great. I mean, soak everything in, but, keep an open mind, right? Whether it's, your hometown team. I did an internship with my baseball team, and I originally applied to be like a sports writer. I do not like baseball at all. So they kind of saw through that pretty quickly. But, I have a big personality, and they're like, you applied to do the on-field MC. Is that something you're interested in? Like, yeah, like that would be awesome. So for the whole summer, I ran, all the in-game activations and everything like that. And to this day, it was one of the best jobs I ever had. So, I mean, just keep networking, whether it's, at your school, doing, stepping up for volunteer programs, helping out with the different teams or sports organizations. But I think Cody can attest when, you have 500 resumes you're looking at, whether it be for sales or anything else. I mean, it's a very competitive field, right? So what are you doing to stand out? I mean, this is a perfect example, but after that, I mean, until you only have so much time in college, right? So for me, I wanted to pack my resume full of different experiences. I worked for the, G League team. I was in the sales office for 6 months, right? Like, think of different things that, when you're in an interview, you can talk about different stories and experiences that can relate to the job that you're looking for.
Yeah, I agree. I did a lot of different experiences in college too. For the longest time, I wanted to work in professional golf, and that's something that I had my sights on, and I thought that was what I was going to do at the end of the day. I did a lot of different tournaments. I worked the Masters. I worked Barbasol Championship outside of my hometown. I did President's Cup. You kind of name it, I did it. And through that experience, that's how I met other people, and that's how I really found out that I wanted to do the MBA at the end of the day. Funny enough, when I was working the Masters this past spring, I met our senior VP of the sales department, Mike Stanfield. He's the man that's the reason why the Saints sold out so long ago, and he's kind of a legend in the business. And I met him face to face, and I basically just laid out why I wanted to work for the team and what I could bring to the table, and it just made me stand out for everybody. So, I mean, that doesn't mean that can't happen to you guys, especially being here with the Super Bowl. You all are going to meet some really high-profile people and be in front of a lot of important people in the industry. So, you never know who you're talking to. So just go out of your way to be nice to everybody that you talk to, and it will go a long way. And that kind of goes into my next point of just be patient with yourself at the end of the day too, and with the process. I mean, just because something's taking time doesn't mean that it's not happening. So, you never know when the pieces are just going to fall into place and everything will work out. And another way to help make yourself stand out amongst the hundreds of other people trying to get in the industry is write handwritten letters. That's something that I really, really recommend, and something that I do for everybody that I speak to. Whether if I have an interview with you on Zoom or I'm meeting you face to face, I'm sending you a handwritten letter. And I mean, that's something that people are going to cherish. I don't know about you all, but if I get a handwritten note from anybody, I keep it, and I have a bag of them that I've had over the years. I'll tell you all that our VP, Matt Dixon, keeps all of them. Every single handwritten letter that he gets from anybody, he has a drawer, and he opens it up, and he's got all of them right there. So just make yourself stand out in ways that are authentic and unique to you. That's just one way to do it, but just really make that connection and really make it special with the person that you're wanting to get to know too.
Something I just thought of was, kind of going back to being open-minded. But has anyone been in New Orleans before? We got a few. Okay, cool. So for me, when I moved down here, it was literally my second time, right? You're moving into a brand new role, a brand new city, thousands of miles away from home. But if there's any piece of advice, just believe in yourself. If it's something that you really want, work your tail off. Good things will come to you. But, be okay with being uncomfortable. Right? Take that leap of faith, whether it's moving across the country, moving a state over. Someone told me pretty early on, if you want to work in the NFL, there's no NFL team in Rochester, New York, right? Closest one's the Bills. Do you want to stay close to home? I don't know, maybe. Okay, well, I was like junior year maybe, I kind of realized probably going to be moving to a different state in a couple years. And that might make, your stomach do a couple somersaults, but be open-minded. I know, Alicia, when I met Kenny in Ireland, he was originally from New Jersey, took a sales internship program in Minnesota. From there, he moved to LA, did the XFL for a little while, did the Dodgers after that, and then eventually led him to an opportunity back home, and he's the inside sales manager for the New York Jets now. His dream came true, but there's a few different steps to get there, right? For me, maybe 10 years from now, I'll go back to Buffalo. Who knows? But, I came here on a leap of faith. I always knew if I didn't like New Orleans, I could always move back home. Doors open, but, doors don't always shut. So I love it down here. I'm really fortunate that I do. Some people come, maybe it's not for them, right? But like Mary Beth said, it is a very small industry. We've had people, work really hard, prove themselves, and then from there, our management team will help, assign you to a different team that may be looking for someone. We have people go to the Dolphins, the Suns. If you want to work in soccer, we can help do that. But it's a very small industry. If you work really hard and you prove it, people will have your back and they'll help you, along the way.
Hi, thank you for coming and talking to us. I'm Heather. What ultimately led to your career choice in sales?
That's a good question, Heather. Where are you from?
North Carolina.
Okay, awesome. I was maybe interested in sales, but the more I learned about it, the more I realized it was everything I loved, right? I'm interested in marketing. It's almost a different form of marketing, right? It might not be a billboard or, an email, but, if you're building a relationship and marketing yourself, marketing the team, it kind of opened the door and opened my eyes into that. But I know everyone's a little different.
Yeah, I had no sales experience through internships throughout college. I, playing college football, I wanted to stay in sports, but wasn't really sure. Got connected through some of our alumni, eventually with the Saints and Pelicans, and inside sales was an opportunity. And like Larry just hit on, I was willing to take the risk and go somewhere new and try it out. Probably thought I was only going to be down there for about a year and then go back to Chicago or somewhere in the Midwest, and then, 4.5 years, 5 years later, now have a house and engaged and managing teams, so you never really know. But I think the biggest thing I learned from that was, whatever you do, it's easy to think about the end result, right? but you need to obsess over the process, because when you do that, you build better into your skills and your craft, and then the results come, right? And you got to put yourself at that spot. So when they're thinking Larry, right? They're thinking Cody or Mary Beth when there is an opportunity available, and whatever that is.
What part of North Carolina are you from?
Benton.
Cool. Okay. I have a lot of friends from North Carolina from school, but I really decided that I wanted to do sales after doing my first internship my sophomore year, and I was around the head of sales, and it really just exposed me to seeing that you can have a lot of relationships with a lot of different people, and you're getting paid to do that, and I think that's really cool. You can really showcase who you are and really just build these bonds and relationships that you probably wouldn't otherwise in different departments. I mean, Cody had his own book, Larry has his own book now, I have mine, and you really just meet new people, you meet them at the games, it's just great, and I think growing that bond is something that is a unique opportunity, and I think that if you're able to talk to people and, like Larry said, talk about sports, then anybody can really do it. So that's really what ultimately led me to want to do it and can keep doing it as well.
So hi, thank you guys for taking your time, especially on a Sunday, to come here. I'm Lourdes. I am from Woodland, California. My question is to you guys all. How do you guys handle objections, especially in the sale process?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good question. And that's something that I struggled with really starting out and something that I'm still working on the day-to-day. I mean, I think the thing when I first started was that I looked at as an objection as something so personal to me. And I felt like it was really personalized, but it's really not. I mean, people will say that, and you just can't take it to heart is something that I've learned. And there's a way to overcome objections, and just because someone will give you one doesn't mean it's a no. Maybe it's a no for now, but in the future, that could be a yes. So that's really how I try to view it, and I try to view it as a way to dig deeper on certain things. So maybe, it's going to divert you to ask a different question or go a different route, but you can still find success in them. Just don't look at them as an obstacle or a roadblock.
Yeah, I think Mary Beth hit on it. I mean, don't take it personally. All because someone might not be interested in what you have at the moment. I mean, I get Men's Warehouse emails once a week, right? I don't need a suit every day, but, when the season rolls around and I want to get a new suit, I know where to go. So I wouldn't take it personal, but at the end of the day, if you are in sales, you're going to have so many people that you talk to. I would rather have someone tell me up front, hey, Larry, thanks so much. This isn't something we're interested in, versus going to them 5, 10, 15, 20 times, and they're stuck in maybe land. It's like, well, maybe we will, maybe we won't. And then you're just following up with them, and, you're thinking, is it something I'm doing or whatnot? But at the end of the day, some people have a hard time saying no. And, you'd almost rather have someone tell you up front, thanks, but no thanks, versus, getting stuck in that what if, maybe.
I think in terms of objections, going through inside sales and doing training is like we have a toolbox, right? That's all of our benefits, the things that we offer. And a lot of objections you get are like smokescreen, right? They're just trying to get Larry off the phone. And what I teach them is, find the true objection, right? They might say, oh, I got to, talk to my wife, or it's a price. But in terms of our toolboxes, right, like, they mentioned something about price. Well, we have a payment plan, right? Then you go and you find the real objections. They just don't like the seats, right, that you offered, or it's really the schedule. Well, we have a couple different packages we offer. I don't know, in terms of training-wise, if you want to add anything into that.
Yeah, you'll definitely learn about it in training and kind of how to go off of those. You don't want to just be stumped when someone gives you kind of something along the lines of no, or just try to divert you away. It's really just, you should dig even deeper when someone presents you with that. So keep asking even more questions. That's time to really lay it on them and find the real root of the cause, like Cody's saying. And then you really learn that starting out that's the time to really get curious. Like, you should be asking questions the whole time, but that's when it's really time to find out the real meaning of it.
Hi, my name's Lily McFadden. I'm from Long Valley, New Jersey. So my question's for Mary Beth. I know you went to school in South Carolina and you grew up in Kentucky. How did you make your way to the Saints and Pelicans, and did you come down here not knowing anyone? Because I think I speak for a lot of us when we say it's nerve-wracking to move to a new state or something for a job, even though in sports there's only so many teams in so many states. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. That's a good one. I came down here just kind of a crazy journey. They came to a sport conference that was in South Carolina and Columbia that our university really mainly puts on, and they had a job fair. And so it gave me the opportunity to get face-to-face with a lot of teams, and it was a great way to meet the past manager of inside sales, Zach Cooper, and that really was what intrigued me about the teams, because I always saw myself staying in the South or going even farther south, and then I thought, oh, New Orleans, that's Louisiana, like that could be somewhere I could go. So I met him, and then I was really interested in the teams and kept learning more about it. And I met with him after the conference had ended, and we had a one-on-one talk, and he gave me his card. And so then after that, we set up some phone calls during Christmas break, and I talked to him. I mean, I built my relationship with him over 4 months long after I met him. So it just continued to build that. And then he ended up getting promoted to premium sales, and we got a new inside sales manager. Met that guy, built the relationship up from the ground up again. And what really drew me to this team, I was interviewing with other teams at the same time during this, but the thing that really set it apart was that I felt really, really wanted by the leadership at the team, and that's what ideally brought me here. And that's what I tell a lot of people: go where they want you just as much as you want to go there, and you want to feel that from them too. So when you're talking to people and you can really sense that they're going out their way to get to know you and they really want you on their team, that's what's going to set them apart. And then coming down here, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know a single soul. I had never even been to Louisiana. And I really just came down here on a whim. And because of kind of what I'm saying, I knew that they really wanted me, and I had a great feeling about it. And then I just took it and ran with it. I mean, this is the age where you're going to get to make these decisions, and there's really not going to be a lot of consequences. Like, we're young, you know, you don't have families yet or anything. So really the opportunities are endless. So that's what kind of drew me to make that decision, and then, you know, I haven't regretted it since then.
Okay, and then a little follow-up I have is I know you do the handwritten notes, so I'm just wondering, I really like that idea, but how do you go about finding the address to deliver them?
Just look up the facility, the practice facility or the office's address, and just maybe if it's 2 buildings, 2, write 2, but just send them off. That's what I did. I didn't have a specific address. I remember I looked up the practice facility's actual address, just wrote it down on the envelope and shipped it off. So
Okay.
yeah, just
Okay.
go that way, and then you'll be able to, then the mail person will be able to find
Figure it
whoever
out.
it's supposed to go to and hand it off to them, but that way it'll get to where it's supposed to go.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.
I'll mention this too. If you don't know the exact address or location, LinkedIn is a great tool as well. I mean, if you send someone a message and, you know, really personalize it, maybe speak upon something that, you know, was in your conversation, make it personal, I think that goes a long way as well.
Hi, my name is Aiden Murphy. I'm from Situate, Massachusetts. I wanted to hit a little bit more also on relocation, but, you know, especially I'm from the north, so it gets cold up there, and like I know like Boston's like a very competitive sports market, so I know that the odds of me getting a job up there are relatively slim, and I've kind of opened up my opportunities to applying everywhere. And like, how do you guys make that kind of decision and sort of determine that, you know, for example, like New Orleans is the place you want to go, like even if you don't know if you're going to love it?
I think that's a really good question. I mean, for me personally, going through networking events, meeting different people, I was fortunate enough to have 3 offers on the table: the Phoenix Suns, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then coming down here, right? And I'm from upstate New York. Cleveland was probably the easiest choice. I mean, it's 5 hours away from home. You can still go home for Christmas and all that. Phoenix kind of ruled out quick, but for me, I mean, my top 2 were always NFL and the NBA. This is the only spot in the world you can do both. So that was a really big, you know, piece for me, but also the people, right? I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what team you are, what city you're in, you're going to be doing a similar job, right? But I think the people is what really makes the organization. So if you find someone you really connect with that believes in you, wants to help grow your career, I think that's really, really important. Even if maybe, you know, you never thought you'd move to Tennessee, but, you know, the manager's awesome and you really want to work for them, with them, I mean, I would just believe in yourself and, you know, keep in mind, you can always relocate. We had a guy, Casey, who came down here, did inside sales for 8 to 10 months, and now he's working with the Celtics. So, I mean, if there's a spot that, you know, your end game, you want to get back home or whatnot, if you, you know, kill it, crush it, and make a name for yourself, people will help you.
Larry pretty much stole my answer there, but I think like you said, the people's the biggest thing. I know we connected. We actually got hired from the same lady. Loved her passion and whatnot. And then coming down here, I think what excelled it and why really enjoyed New Orleans and that whole experience was like our group and our friends. Larry and I, he comes from Buffalo, I come from Wisconsin. We met here, and 5 years later, now Larry's standing in my wedding, right? Like, you never know. And I think about anywhere you go, I think the people's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And kind of with that, if you're interviewing somewhere and you want to get to know it better, connect with people that currently work in the office that aren't the leadership. I remember I did that. I talked to Mallory, who's actually on the retention team with Larry, connected with another woman on the office, and that really opened my eyes to seeing that everybody is awesome that works there. It wasn't just a picture that management was putting in my head. So I would go about it that way as well when you're interviewing. That way you can get a different perspective that isn't the leadership too. And just kind of what I mentioned earlier, just you'll get a sense of when someone wants you on their team, and just kind of ride with that. If you want to go somewhere where they really believe in you, then just go based on that. And then kind of what they were hitting on, you'll just end up where you're supposed to be. Whether you get down there and the city's not for you, you'll find somewhere. And if you really crush it, like Larry said, then they'll help do everything in their power to do that.
Hi, guys. Alex. I'm from Riverhead, New York. It's on Long Island, so not upstate New York like Rochester. But my question to all three of you, it's sort of getting away from the sales portion that we've sort of been talking about a lot. And it has to do with interviewing. All of you guys obviously work in sports, so you've obviously interviewed for a position. What are some tips you can give us as either college students or fresh out of college that are looking for their first job in sports? What are some of your biggest interview tips you can give us?
I'll start. I do interviews every day. So I think similar, kind of different, but what Mary Beth said, I love the follow-up, right? If that's an email or even a text or whatnot, I love the follow-ups. I think that's a big thing that sets you apart. And two, it's a little more, I know you said away from sales, but like initially too is like, holding a conversation and, do I like talking with you, right? Like, is it easy to talk? Because like in our roles, like you're talking on the phone all day, every day, right? And so that's what the customers or prospects are going to hear. I think initially I would start with that.
Yeah, definitely follow up. And, if you want to do the handwritten note route, then do that. Also, just if you don't want to do that, then make sure you send an email thanking them for their time. Just make sure that they feel really appreciated by you, because, they are taking time out of their day. Cody's schedule is jam-packed all day long, and then he takes some time out of his day to interview people. It's pretty crazy, honestly, that he's able to do that within the schedule that he has. Also, something that I really recommend is go in with questions. Make sure you know what you're talking about and do your research beforehand. Just look up the values of the team, what do they care about, and just go off of that and ask them as many questions as possible. I always just say put them in this question seat. It's your turn to really lay it on them and ask as many as you can to someone who doesn't have a lot of time, like a lot of free time in their day, and you can ask them anything. I would just take advantage of that opportunity and just lay it all out there, and then that's how you're really going to show that you care too.
As far as interviewing, there's a piece of advice that I think would be the most important. It's be prepared and be confident, right? You have different experiences in your life, and whether you think you're qualified for a position or not, if you come across as the most confident person in the world and it's authentic and they believe you, and maybe you don't have all the experience, but you're going to work your tail off every day, and if you have the goods to back it up, I think that'll go a long way. But come prepared, learn about the organization, learn about the position, learn about the hiring manager. Why do you want the job, right? That's kind of what the main question is. But have different stories, different things that you can discuss about that really shows different experiences that can translate to the position you're looking for.
I had one more to add to that. I think too, if it's a Zoom call or phone call, is like have energy and passion, right? Like anybody who's hiring, they're doing it all day, every day. They talk to so many different people, and they'll feel that if that's through the phone or even through a video call, it makes it more exciting, right? And they can connect that with you too.
Hello, first of all, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. My name is Eric Dominguez. I'm from Leamington, Ontario, Canada. My question relates a little bit to something Larry said earlier about how this is the only place where you can do both football and basketball. How much on any given week, day, or month would you say that you're working maybe just with one of the teams, whether it's with the football team or with the basketball team, or is it any day you could be doing something for either one of them?
I think that's a really good question. I think it kind of depends on what season we're in. I mean, right now, like the upcoming week's probably going to be a lot of Super Bowl focused, but we also are in the middle of the Pelican season, right? So how are you working to put revenue on the board for the Pelican side, but also working on the Saints? And we'll go on sale for renewals in about a week and a half. So, I mean, if you are working for more than one organization, there's going to be a lot to juggle. I won't say it's easy every day, but I think time management goes a long way. How are you staying focused at the task at hand? But also being able to, maybe hit the brakes on one thing, hit the gas on another. I mean, it does switch around based on the time of the year. But it's mainly focused around the seasons. Big days are, draft day, schedule release, opening night. Do we have an upcoming game that, we need help selling out? Are there suites available for this? The focus is going to shift. That's not the same with, if you work just for the Dolphins, you're just working for the Dolphins. But, I mean, for me, I love it, right? Every day is different. You don't know what's going to happen. You have an idea, but if your manager goes, hey, we got to move 50 Kings tickets, okay, what about the Saints prospecting? Put that on the back burner. This is your focus for today. For me, that's exciting.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add to that, like as a management staff, we'll try to, like for Mary Beth, we'll try to have different focuses at times, right? Kind of what Larry had to do. But at the same time, she, if we have the products, like we're still full menu, right? So if Mary Beth's talking to somebody about, Pelicans games or Pelican suites, but then, they're interested on the Saints side, like Mary Beth can go sell that. And I think that's, a huge advantage of, with the Saints and Pelicans, it's not just narrow focus to one, that you still have the full menu option.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. I mean, you have the full venue at your disposal. So, I mean, I worked sales tables at the Saints game and then sold them plants on the Pelicans at the end of the day. So, and kind of vice versa. That's the really unique thing and the unique position that we're in. And, you're not restricted on the things that you can't sell. I mean, if I had someone walk in and want to buy an annual suite, I mean, they've had people in the past in inside sales do that. So that's the really cool part about the job. But yeah, during the week, I guess during the Saints season, especially on Sundays, you're working those games. And then sometimes for the Pelicans during that same week, you're working 2 to 3 games. So it's very much turn and burn with those games. And then in the off season, it's more so Pelicans focused. But that's kind of how it's split up with that.
Kind of to add on that as well, shifting, away from the sales piece. But, I mean, I have a friend who does more so photography and video production, and he works for Pagula Sports, right? So he's doing the Bills games, but he's also doing the Sabres. Sometimes he'll go do the lacrosse team they have there or something. But, I mean, I would just look at, what's the organization have to offer? For example, Cleveland, they do the Lake Erie Monsters. They have a G League team. They have the Cavaliers. But there's more than just that. A lot of organizations you'll find will have different pieces to them, and it can be a lot at times. But as far as sales-wise, it is financially in our best interest. We're always selling something versus, if you work for just the NFL, you better make those 10 games last, right? Because you only get 10. If it's baseball, it's a lot more. It's going to be a lot more hours, but you're going to have more games to sell. For me, the NBA is almost the perfect sweet spot. We have about 40 home games over about 6 months. And then I guess hockey's pretty similar. But those are probably the big 4. I mean, collegiate sports is going to be, working football, working basketball, doing a lot of hats. But I would just think, what's most important to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Riley O'Connor. I'm from Staten Island, New York, and I go to SUNY Cortland, so I know a little bit about the upstate area. My question for you guys is, I know you touched a little bit about the 10-month program. With somebody who has a little bit of experience in event management and 2 summer years, I guess, with ticket sales, what other qualities would you guys be looking for towards like somebody applying for internships?
Yeah, I'll let Cody answer that. I applied to Cortland, and I got accepted, but I ended up not going there. So that's all. They're the Red Dragons, is that right?
Yep.
Nice, awesome.
The other thing I want to hit on too is with the 10-month associate programs, it is in different departments. So it's not just ticket sales. So we have operations, marketing, social media. So it is more, we're probably one of the larger. We usually bring in, I would say, anywhere from 4 to 8 each shift. So, but in terms of like what we're looking for, just personally, I think doing something else, while in college, other than, which it seems like obviously you guys all are. But if that's sport, if that's, you're a president of a fraternity, right? Or internship or living sport, right? And being able to talk on that and then relate it to whatever, that job is you're applying to. I think, and then also, I think, just throughout the interview process, how you connect a little more, sales wise. But anything you do, I think that helps and puts you up, a peg above.
My name's Luca. I'm from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So my question goes to all of you. So how would, I guess the question more is, how would you go about, as a Canadian citizen, getting a job in the United States in sports as your first job?
I mean, I would just say be persistent. I'm not sure exactly if there's any legality or anything like that, but I mean, for example, I can speak upon one of our inside sales members. He was from Greece, right? And he, moved to New Orleans, went back to the summer, but he was originally from Greece, and, he did an awesome job, and, he ended up needing like a visa or something, and there's different things about that. So I would just be knowledgeable about the different visa processes. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. There's plenty of people who have a proven track record of it. So, I would stay confident, stay persistent. If there's something you really want to do, go for it.
My name is Paul Rosano. I'm from Bourne, Massachusetts. Mary Beth, this kind of goes to you and then to you two guys as well. When you first started in inside sales, I know you mentioned like you were at the bottom of the team and you had to work your way up to where you are now. What was like your turning point like during that time period? Like what switch did you turn on to get to the top and become an account executive?
Yeah, good question. Definitely when you go through something like that, you really are forced to kind of look in the mirror and just really figure out what's going on and what's not working for you. And for me, I'm not going to close you on the first call. I'm not like a hard seller like some of the other people in the office. And I had to identify that in myself pretty quickly. And you can't try to make yourself be like other people. You really just got to find what you're good at. And something that I realized is I'm really good at selling face-to-face. Like if I meet you face-to-face, I can really have a great relationship and develop it with you. And my biggest sales came from face-to-face interactions. I mean, I was the bottom of the board, and then I remember I worked a sales table at a Saints game, met a guy, closed him on a $10,000 plan. So it's just kind of figuring those things out and what your strengths are and identifying your weaknesses and just building up on those. I mean, you don't have to turn yourself into something that you're not to be successful. There is an avenue and a path for you, and that's how I kind of identified that I wanted to work in group sales because I'm really good at building those relationships, whereas other people are really quick and can sell just one call close, and then they can do AE on the season ticket side. So there is a path for you, and it's just identifying what you're good at.
Kind of adding to that, I mean, the sales board, it's very numbers driven, right? If you have the highest revenue of the day, you'll be at the top, right? But at the end of the day, it's really you against you, right? It's not you against the other 10 people, but I mean, the person in the mirror, that's the person that's waking up, getting there early, doing 10 extra calls. But how are you utilizing your time in the office? I think, attitude has a lot to do with it. Hustle, effort, I mean, those are the intangibles that, only you can put in the work. And at the end of the day, the results, they should come.
So while interviewing, I actually have an interview question for you. So let's say you start in June, right, in inside sales. We're 2 months in, we have a sales board, right? And let's say you're bottom of the board, right? Like, one, how does that impact you? And two, how do you get back on track?
So it impacts me to work even harder. And then, like Mary Beth said, look yourself in the mirror, see what you're doing good, see what you're doing bad. I'd kind of take a second and see where my weaknesses are and really follow up on those more than what I'm already good at. Because if I'm already good at the other things, I don't have to work on them as much as the weaknesses.
Another thing I would add too is, we have a big sales floor, and I think a lot of different organizations are similar. Is the people that are having success right, top of the sales board is like, what are they saying, right? Like they, it's not like school when you're gonna get plagiarized or in trouble. Like you could copycat and say the same thing because sometimes it's like, man, how we pitched that product or fought that objection, that was really good, right? I'm gonna start implementing that to my process. And then I think the biggest thing with inside sales is, and Larry touched on it, but 9 out of 10 times it boils down to effort, right? The people that are working harder, higher in activities, the success comes, right? And I think those are two things, but good job on the answer.
If I didn't know if I was interested in sales or not, but I wanted to do like an inside sales program to see if I'm more interested after the experience. Say, for example, if I completed it, no longer interested in sales, do you think inside sales is like a good stepping stone to open a door like in the sports industry for a different department?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. I mean, like going back to if you work hard every single day and you want to grow in the organization, we will help you find a spot, right? We had a woman who came in, great attitude, not the best seller, but awesome person. Now she's in our HR department. We've had people go to different teams to do different jobs, but I mean, if you come in every day, this is what you want to do. If it's not sales, but you have the intangibles, attitude, effort, people will help you.
My name's Eric Cristino. I'm from Long Island, New York, and my question is for all three of you. What does like an average game day look like? Because I'm interested in working in sales, and the department that I'm currently working works on game days, and I'm always seeing all the salespeople on the game day, but I'm not too sure exactly what it is they do.
What department are you in now?
Community relations.
Okay. So I mean, for me personally, if it's a Pelicans or a Saints, it's a little bit different, but it's also a little similar, right? I mean, Pelicans games are more so on the weekdays, so we'll come in, suit and tie, and then probably around 3 o'clock, maybe head out to the arena. But usually that day, I mean, for me, I'm in charge of about 400 clients, right? And they're all coming to that game. So, fielding emails, sending out communications, making sure everyone's taken care of. If you have a suite, are you checking in, making sure, they know how to transfer their tickets, if they ordered catering. Little things like that, I think attention to detail goes a long way. But as far as at the game, we usually have a different sales table. So if customers and clients want to come meet with you, if it's just to say hi, you'll become very close with the regulars. But maybe it's a suite visit or a seat visit, right? Is it someone's birthday? Are you bringing them a goodie bag? Are you going the extra mile to foster that relationship and grow that connection? I mean, you don't have to do everything all the time, right? But there's plenty of different touch points you can make to make someone's game day special and impactful, throughout a long season.
Mine's changed a lot in these last 5-6 months. Before the first 4 years, now like manager of inside sales, I pretty much make sure those 12 are at their position to doing that. But also I'll go on appointments with them, right? If they have a prospect out, it's interest suites or floor seats, and kind of show them my experience on how I do that, and then usually they'll take it and kind of do it from moving forward. In general, for our inside sales team, what we have is we usually have like a designated area that you kind of work. So that would be like courtside by our like different floor seat clubs, suite level, as well as different sales tables throughout the arena or the Superdome. And then you have your basic shift, but then it's a lot of client facing in terms of doing different visits or selling somebody different tickets or just touch points with current accounts. So it's a little bit of a mix.
Yeah, I definitely say that client visits and getting face-to-face is the most important thing at the game. And even people that you're trying to sell, a lot of us will take our tickets and invite people to come out to the games, and then that's really your time to shine. You're getting face-to-face, and it's much harder for someone to say no to you after they've met you in person and you have that conversation. So it's a lot of that, and then just visiting your current clients and just keep building those relationships. Like Cody mentioned in inside sales, they're kind of working more of the hospitality areas with a little bit of sales tables mixed in there. But once you go full time, it's really just you're there to help the clients and help whoever needs you there. So it's just a lot of that face-to-face interaction.
I'll mention this too. I mean, not everything's sunshine and roses, right? I mean, you'll have people who maybe they're upset about one thing or another, but how do you have that conversation, right? Like, for example, I had a guy who the POS system while he was buying a drink went down, right? And instead of $20, he would charge $200 for a beer. Calls me, he's swearing, he's very upset, but, you're going to go talk to him in 2 minutes. What are you going to say, right? He's not going to be any less happy, but, how can you make his experience better? I mean, there's nothing that you can do in that moment other than have him be heard, try to find a solution, but at the end of the day, it's a person, right? If you treat people the way they want to be treated, and it'll go a long way. But it's a lot of problem solving on game days as well. You do run into issues, but I think that's kind of where you can grow, right? I mean, some of my best customers now, maybe it's someone that we got off on the wrong foot, but I went above and beyond to make sure that they had an incredible experience despite the hiccup, and people will really respect you for that. It's your personality and it's your reputation on the line, and if something maybe didn't go perfect, but you come back with 110%, it'll go a long way.
Well, hi, my name is Emily Tovar. I'm from Fresno, California, and I just had a question for you guys about something I went through recently working with the sales team with Living Sport, actually. My responsibility was getting golf carts, but unfortunately, 4 to 5 places I had called did not have rental insurance, and it seemed to be like an ongoing issue within New Orleans. How would you pivot from that? If you had limited resources to where I had, where if we needed assistance, then we would let our managers know and the higher ups know, so that way they could go about it. But how would you pivot from that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very unique situation. It's funny, every city is a little different. New Orleans is very weird about insurance. I got in a fender bender. Someone hit my car about a month ago, and my claim got denied, even though I wasn't in the car. My car was parked, but they hit me. So kind of getting away from that exact question, because I'm not sure the answer there, but it's kind of transferable, right? There's going to be roadblocks along the way. But how do you persist through that? If, it's not solution A, how are you getting creative to do maybe B, C, D? Is it solution G, right? But I mean, working through different problems, no matter what, if it's sales or any, career choice, you're going to have hiccups, but problem solving goes a long way, being creative and then being persistent.
Yeah, and I'd definitely say just ask the person, who else do you recommend in the area? Who else do you know? Just casting that net as wide as possible, and then you're eventually going to find something. And I think that goes for any instance of something that doesn't work out. Just keep growing that network and keep trying to find other people that could get you to the right one.
And then I had a follow-up question. So as someone who is currently working in-game events, as you did previously, how did you finally decide on the switch? Especially from someone who I genuinely enjoy both, so it's kind of hard deciding whether in-game sales or a different perspective as well.
Sure. I think that's a good question. I mean, at the end of the day, no one can really answer that other than you, right? It might sound silly, but when I was making my decision as far as where I wanted to move and start my career, my mom said, hey, let's just make a pros and cons list, right? What do you like about this spot? What do you like about that spot? And at the end of the day, there was way more pros in New Orleans than anything else. So, I mean, if you kind of think about it logically, maybe take a step back, put it on a piece of paper, and, let it breathe, I think the answer will kind of come to you. But kind of going back too, I mean, you can try something. If you don't like it, I mean, it's okay, right? You can always pivot to something else, especially in the associate programs. A lot of teams, it's, 10 months, right? So, I mean, take that leap of faith. Like Cody and I, we came to New Orleans. I thought I was going to be here a year, right? I just got engaged to a girl who was an LSU Tiger, right? And probably going to be here for a lot longer than I expected, but I love it here, right? So, I mean, I would just keep an open mind, and, anything that you are to do, it doesn't have to be the final answer. If you don't like it, it's okay. You can go somewhere else, right?
I think the only other thing I would add to that is, right, if there's something you want to do, right, or, for this specifically or any kind of job, is network, right? And via LinkedIn, emails, connect with those people and see, all right, hear their experience, right? And, do I like that? Do I not like that? And then I agree with Larry. Sometimes you just got to try things and risk it, and then if you don't, you pivot, right? Or maybe you end up like Larry, and 5 years later, still here.
That doesn't mean that you can't also shadow other departments. I mean, that's something I've done, and that's something that a lot of teams are open to. So, I mean, let's say that you're in a new area that you're not familiar with and you still want to go back to looking at that game events and you're kind of missing that, then you could always ask, hey, can I shadow? Could I do this? Is this possible? And then you could always find like little ways to kind of get back to the things you do like.
Speaking from my personal experience, after inside sales, I was on the groups team, right? I did groups for a year, liked it, didn't love it, but I loved the organization. I wanted to stay here. A position came open in retention. I thought, man, usually you're doing sales 3 to 5 years before you take that next step. I'll apply. I don't know if I'll get it, but leadership believed in me. They saw the potential there, and they trusted me, right? So I was able to kind of pivot to something that I've loved and is a little bit better of a fit for me. But it's because they knew the intangibles I had. They trusted me, and I think it goes back to effort and attitude, positivity, and persistence, right? If you maybe try something, you don't love it, but you want to do something else, if you have the intangibles, they'll help you do that.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Conti. I reside in Southwest Florida. My question goes to either one of you. My first one being, what do you see in terms of if you were to tell a story to somebody in regards to a story that stands out where you are proud of a sale. I mean, obviously you guys go through hundreds of sales or dating back to wherever you started in your career up till now. Is there any certain story that stands out that you're obviously super proud of to tell to people?
Yeah, I mean, I love my sales table story. That's my first one because that was when I was at the bottom of the board, and then guy got my card, told me he was going to call me. A lot of the time that means they're never going to call again. And I remember I was sitting at my desk on a Friday, and I had been really working hard that all week, had some progress still at the bottom of the board, calls me, I'm ready to get the plan, $10,000, put it down. It was the most surreal feeling in the world, just knowing that my work paid off and that, me getting face-to-face led to that sale. And another example was one that Cody actually helped me on. I found a guy that was a single game buyer, just had regular seats before, convinced him to come out to a game and try floor seats, and then we started talking, and he wanted to get it for his business, and lo and behold, it turned out that he worked in the oil and gas industry. And then that turned into me going to a boat show convention downtown and meeting him, and where he was learning about boats, which I don't know anything about for the oil industry. And then that led into a $10,000 floor deal for the guy. So it's really just, you'll have these kind of Cinderella moments like that, and that's the thing that really stands out about sales, and just, you never know where something's going to take you or where a sale or a conversation is going to go.
Yeah, to that point, a sale that is probably my biggest to date, but something I'm extremely proud of, was Saints annual suite. Business had done a smaller package with us for several years, kind of worked them up the ladder, but from the start told me, Larry, this annual, it's just not something we're interested. And for 3 years they told me no, right? But I always stayed in the ear, built the relationship, and then the biggest selling point, we had Taylor Swift here last fall, right? And what's cool about with the Superdome, if you were to do an annual suite for your business, you get access to all the concerts that come through. And for them, this blue-collar oil guy, not the biggest Taylor Swift fan, but I'll tell you, his daughter and his wife, oh yeah, that was a game changer. So, I mean, just connecting with them and then, closing a, $1.3 million over a 5-year deal, the commission on that, let me tell you, it's pretty good. And, that's something that sales is really cool because every day you go to work, right? But you're working for yourself. I mean, the effort you put in, it doesn't go to waste, right? It goes directly into your pocket. So I think it's very, for me, that was the most proud I've ever been.
I'll make mine a little quicker. No, I think the biggest one I'm proud of, it's a great example of purpose over task, right? This is early, I was as an AE. I think the job was I was putting on wristbands for our courtside members. And it's easy, very, very easy, simple task, but went above and beyond in terms of like somebody came in, hey, have you been here before? No, right? Walked him and his wife throughout the courtside club, showed where they entered, built the conversation, gave him my business card. He ended up being in the maritime industry, and a couple months later, I think it was about $30K in floor seats. He bought a package with it. Could have easily just put the wristband on, say, hey, how's it going? See ya, right? But went above and beyond, a little, purpose over task. And the result was he ended up spending $30K on a good-sized commission.